Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture, Alpha Flight Monday, and we're looking at Alpha Flight number 24. This would be the end of Alpha Flight's second year in publication. Join them in the strangest journey ever. Join them as they seek a man's soul. Brief moment of silence while I move my microphone closer. Okay. So let's take a look. This is another biggie for the team. We're going to ignore the shameful Reese's Pieces ad. What were they thinking? So, Stan Lee presents Final Conflict, Chapter 1, The Gathering. This place is incredible. I feel like I'm on the moon. Story and pencils, John Byrne. Embellishing, Bob Wyacek. Coloring, Andy Yankus. Lettering, Rick Parker. Editing, Dennis O'Neill. Peacekeeper, Jim Shooter. Peacekeeper. Oh boy, was there some behind-the-scenes stuff going on? Maybe. Alpha Flight Volume 1, Number 24, July 1985. So what do we got going on? Well, last issue, we saw the apparent, maybe potential death of Walter Lankowski, Sasquatch. And obviously a terrible sight for Aurora to behold, as Snowbird, in the form of a Sasquatch herself, tore the heart out of Walter Lankowski. Why? Because he had been completely taken over, possessed by one of the great beasts. And it was the only way to save the world, we'll say. But Aurora says, "Look at him. Look at my poor Walter. You were not there, Heather, but the others were. They saw what she did. She tore out his living heart with her bare hands. And now, well, really with her Sasquatch hands. And now he's turned into, I don't know what, into stone. The crystallization was to preserve his body, Aurora. I'm sorry. I thought you had understood what had transpired. Your lover had been possessed by one of the great beasts, the ancient evils I was set upon the earth to battle. So you say, but how can I believe it? As Sasquatch, Walter was one of the founding members of Alpha Flight. He has fought against evil whenever he was called upon to do so. And it was a mark of the strength of Walter Lankowski's soul that he was able to control the beast for as long as he did. But in the past few months, he had lost the fine edge he needed until at last Tanarak, the beast, was able to take control. It was Tanarak I slew, Aurora. The soul of Walter Lankowski may yet be rescued." And that's what this issue is about, the rescue of Walter Lankowski's soul. And so Shaman appears to speak to Talisman. "Shaman, then it worked. You've answered my mystic summons." Oh, gee, I can't imagine why this next event would happen. Yeah, I had too much light on. Okay. Washing out the colors, man. All right. "I had little choice, Elizabeth. The magic signal you transmitted was not simply a call to come here. It was a compulsion." Okay, so he has appeared, and they're going to need Shaman for this one. Also appearing, North Star, brother to Aurora, who now is in her properly colored costume. "I knew it had to be. I knew you would call to me for help sooner or later, sister. Whatever else you might say." So, and he's speaking French at the moment. "Why, you arrogant." And she doesn't slap him. She punches him. That's closed fist right there. Clop. Those two don't get along that well. "Aurora, what in the name of... I came only because I sense your need. Why do you... It was not your sister's summons you felt, North Star. It was my daughter's. Evidently she managed to send us some kind of general compulsion. To all the members of Alpha Flight. Shaman, your daughter? Oh, yes, I forgot. You do not know her. Yeah, so that all happened when he was gone. And so he's like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not part of Alpha Flight. Screw this. One moment, North Star. Ooh. What, did she goose him or something? He is frozen, immobile, yet still conscious. Narya, what have you done to him? And more, how have you done it? An ability I have not previously had the need to use, Michael. My arsenal of weapons against the beasts includes the ability to compel others to aid me, if they will not do so willingly. Okay, so that's going to go over well with North Star. Okay, so what ultimately are they trying to do? They're going to go into this realm of the great beasts. And you see that here. Nicely drawn. I like this. Just bare ink work as we see the light just becoming more and more bright. Now they're leaving Heather behind because remember, she does not have superpowers. They leave her behind to pray. Secret Wars 2. Not a fan. Okay. And so they find themselves rocketing through these strange dimensions. If you know Marvel, you've seen things like this before in Doctor Strange and all that. Remember, all is illusion here. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. Chapter 3, The Shattered Lands. I guess I didn't notice Chapter 2 pop up. Okay. Which is fine. I like that. I like the black and white work. They're all in color. Everything else is black and white. Behold, my friends, the realm of the beasts. Once a planet not unlike Earth, though in a universe outside our own experience. Then, 1,000,000 years or more past, the beasts rose here. They pillaged and corrupted the world, then set forth in search of greener pastures. Three times they attacked the Earth, the planet nearest this on the mystic continuum, and 3 times they were driven back. The last time they were sealed behind a barrier designed to keep them forever on this barren, lifeless world. And so what our team now has to do is travel through this world to find the soul of Walter Lankowski. And so Snowbird, Aurora, and North Star fly off because they're the flyers in the group. And Aurora notices one of the great beasts. Greetings, mortals. It has been too long since we had guests on our tired, sad world. You are most welcome here, as meat is welcome in the house of a starving man. Well, that's nice. How nice of you to say. Somon, most ancient, most powerful of the beasts. In your death lies the destruction of all. Perhaps, halfling, but your enthusiasm is your undoing. And he hits her. Remember with whom you contend, child. I am older than the oldest, more powerful than the greatest wielder of power. I see no evidence of this, Somon. You struck at me as any mortal might. I am unimpressed. You desire of me a demonstration of my power? That is foolish indeed, child of man. This is the power of Somon. And look what that's Tundra. Tundra's, he's bad news. And you can see how large he is looming. I love how Byrne drew Tundra. It really makes use of his strengths. And now we see Karyuk, the corruptor, who brings with him fire. And so it's not going that well. Chapter 4, The Outsider. Something is happening. I can feel it. So Heather is left alone with this crystallized body of Walter Lankowski. And, she's like, oh man, this sucks. I can't do anything. And I miss Mac, and I think I saw Mac, and blah, 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 blah. And then Mrs. Hudson. I like the way this is drawn. You don't know exactly who's showing up at the moment. One might just for a second think they're looking at maybe Iron Man or something, although, color wouldn't be quite right. But Box, Roger, is that you? It's me, Mrs. Hudson. I redesigned Box after New York. He's stronger now, more powerful, better. better, faster, stronger. But what in the world are you doing here? I'm not sure. I'd heard on the news that Alpha Flight had been active in Vancouver, and I was on my way out there when I felt, I'm not sure what I felt. A compulsion to fly north, to come here, wherever here is. So he got the same signal because he had really just become a member, technically, of Alpha Flight. He was going to get the call to the big leagues before everything unwound on them. And so here he's shown up, and she notices that this bodily form of Walter Lankowski is starting to crumble. Chapter 5, the battle begins. They soar through. These three are being attacked by Kariuk, these three by Tundra. And they're commanded by Somon, the beasts. And so they're in a bad spot, obviously. So they're battling them. We get some amazing art from John Byrne. Again, even if you're not a huge fan of the storyline and such in Alpha Flight, it's a great piece of work by Byrne in terms of the art. And so the battle rages on. Snowbird takes the form of a polar bear. You underestimate the strength of Snowbird. And she goes straight after Somon, the artificer. And these two manage to lead Kariuk and Tundra against one another. They don't care for one another, these great beasts. It is Somon who controls them, who keeps them sort of disciplined enough to actually fight their enemies instead of each other. Kind of like Captain America did with the Avengers back in the day. Somon, he must have relinquished control. Without him commanding them, the beasts have turned on each other. That is how Narya's people defeated them before, by using the beasts' hatred of each other to overbalance their hatred of humankind. And this gives all of them a chance. So they go moving along. Snowbird is going to maybe kill someone. Snowbird, stop. Do not slay the beast. We have yet need of him. So she's, almost full on in animal form here, like just roaring. She's lost her faculties to some degree. Do not let the bloodlust consume you, Narya. Relinquish the bear form. You have done what needed to be done. You need not kill someone. Like all evil things, he is at heart weak and cowardly. You have shown him the face of his own death. Now he will show us what we need to see. Yes, old beast. Yeah. I'll do it. Chapter 6, The Well of Sorrows. This is the place, mortals. So, here is where they will find the soul of Walter Lankowski. And they go down, and you can see Aurora using her light power to try to give them light as they go down these stairs into this well. Talisman leads them. What was that? There's something alive down here. I can feel it. Talisman, what is it? Is it Lankowski, his spirit? No, it's Somon. Puck was right. This is a trap. Foolish little mortals, you challenge my power when you understand not a 10th part of its scope, its magnitude. I command this world. I fill it with my will. I am the life of this planet, and I am your death. And he puts his fingernails through each of them. She feels it. We are betrayed, shaman. The old beast lied to us. And so he says, well, I just didn't tell you everything. And so in the end, it is the same thing, meriting the same punishment. And she now puts her fist through Somon. Dude, Snowbird is like, she's getting more dangerous than Wolverine in these last couple issues. And I love that. I love that they show the true power of this character. Snowbird is a pretty character, right? She's drawn pretty. She has this white and like light blue color scheme. That's not what you do to show a character who's just going to go friggin' crazy killing everything. And obviously she doesn't do that all the time. But as her battle with the great beasts has gotten to another level, she's ruthless. You see really the savage power that lies within her. After all, she had the ability to command all the animals of the north. So there is that bestial side to her character. And you see Puck, holy, She's killed him. Shaman, what? Something most foul has happened below us. I have allowed myself to be lulled by Soman's complacency. His only purpose in bringing us here was to divide our forces, so he could, oh no. And we see them rise up out of that soul, or that pit of souls. Chapter 7, the price. They're dead, all three of them. But how? There's not a mark on them. Psychic death. Something in the well of sorrows drained from them their very life force. Then there is a chance they might yet be saved if their life essence can be rekindled. And so that is ultimately what they're going to try to do. The energy sphere, it's changing, but before they can really do anything, I sense emotion, grief, anguish emanating from the sphere. And we get this image, and all of a sudden they're alive. The energy, it has resurrected them. But how? So here's the sphere and these white beams. It's a little difficult because of the black-white color scheme. As the sphere changes color, it brings them to life. Father, what happened? I feel so strange. As well you might, after so close a brush with the everlasting dark. The old beast told us another partial truth, just enough to misdirect us. He called that energy sphere the glow globe of the Fistash Hazrak in his ancient tongue, that is, a soul that wanders. I took it to be a reference to the imprisoned souls in the Well of Sorrows, but that was not the case. There are no souls still held in the pit. The essence Snowbird sensed came from the sphere above, not the well below. This is the soul of Walter Lankowski, and a great and noble soul it must be after all, for he sensed your distress and used his own life energy to rekindle your failed flames, and that act has cost him much. His energy level has dwindled to a tiny fraction of what it should be. Quickly now, Alpha Flight. With the artificer dead, at the Snowbird's hand, the beasts are powerless, forced by their dark natures to battle each other as the world dies around them. So, they got to get out of there while the getting's good. But they now have the soul of Walter Lankowski, or at least what is left of it. But when they arrive, they find that Walter Lankowski's body has crumbled into nothing. And of course, Aurora is horrified, and even North Star ain't real happy back there. He's not going to say anything comforting. You know, he's got to keep his street cred as Marvel's biggest jerk outside of Hawkeye. And actually, Hawkeye by this point was not such a big jerk anymore. Well, although he still had a little bit, and we're not going to get into that. Yet surely there was something to be done, Michael. Nothing unless box. Yes, sir. And so they come up with a little plan here. Roger Box unphases from that armor. North Star catches him because he has, only his legs up to, his thighs. So he's otherwise confined to a wheelchair when he's outside of that armor. And they essentially put Walter Lankowski's soul into the Box robot. And he's like, what happened? Walter, Cherie, you are alive. Am I? I don't exactly feel all right. I feel kind of like a 56 Buick. What gives? There will be time aplenty to explain at our leisure now, my friend. Suffice to say, we have faced perhaps our most challenging gauntlet, and we have prevailed. But only for a little while, my oldest friends. The great beasts have been destroyed. My purpose is thus fulfilled. Snowbird's time on Earth is done. Oh, always drama in Marvel. And so she just left. Now this is the human that Snowbird has been seeing. He was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police with her. And Heather comes to say that she's gone. She's just left. And, wow, it's a little hard to put into words how I feel now. And so, no more Snowbird. Well, that's not as easy a sentence to say as I thought it would be. But as Heather leaves, she appears and they kiss. Teach me to be a woman. So she wants to finally learn how to be human, because she does have a human half goddess, half human, a demigod, if you will. And now that she's fulfilled the purpose of destroying the beasts, she wants to live a different life. So, in a manner of speaking, Snowbird has now also left Alpha Flight. Just like Marina before her, but she's still out there, and, she's not gone completely. Although there's big changes ahead. Can you imagine that? Big changes ahead for the characters in Alpha Flight. Go figure. Next issue, turmoil awaits our heroes when they return to their new home base. Don't miss. And graves give up their dead in 30 days. So, bonus pinup, Doctor, Sorcerer, Hero, Alpha Flight's Shaman. It's a good one. Let's see if we can get that a little bit closer without going completely unfocused. Here we go. All right. So we have reached the end of year 2 for Alpha Flight. As I said when we started, Alpha Flight goes through a lot of changes. And maybe more changes than a lot of people liked. And I can understand that. It was somewhat new to comic books to have that level of change in characters' lives. We're entering into, I guess you could say, the modern age of comics at this point. We've already gone through Secret Wars. We've gone through Crisis on Infinite Earths. And the tone of comic books is changing. A lot of indie titles out there that are doing interesting things, and Marvel and DC are trying to keep up. And so we're going to see some big changes throughout the comic book realm. Traditionally, comic book characters don't change dramatically. Oh, you'll have the potential for something dramatic happening in their lives. Often it does, but things kind of turn back to normal really fairly quickly. Sometimes you do get big changes. Within 2 years, Alpha Flight, and this happened rather quickly even, has seen their leader, Guardian, die. Marina has left. North Star is sort of out of the team, but not entirely out of the team. Snowbird now seems to have left. Lankowski has been killed and put into this robot body of Box. Talisman has entered the team. So we've seen a lot of changes to the team in a very short period of time. And again, not something a lot of people have liked. They want to get time to know the characters. And I'll admit, it may be too much change too quickly. Adult comic book fans of the time wanted to see the change. But if you don't let a character just be a character for a certain period of time, altering his circumstances or her circumstances can actually lose a little bit of the dramatic effect. And that's what they flirted with here in Alpha Flight. And the fact of the matter is, we are at this point just a few issues away from John Byrne leaving the book, Bill Mantlo taking over the reins, and Mantlo's not going to let the team rest all that much either. So that's sort of the reality of Alpha Flight, is a lot of change. But as I said when I started the series, because you had a bunch of characters that didn't have an existence really outside of Alpha Flight, they didn't have their own solo books. They were all relatively new characters. They'd shown up in a few crossovers here and there, Marvel 2-in-1, Marvel Team Up. They'd obviously first appear in X-Men. But because they were sort of clean slates, it was an opportunity to see what you could put the team through and kind of get away with fans. And bear in mind, Alpha Flight had a really good long run, so it did hold on to its fan base fairly well despite all these changes. It was an interesting book for that reason, and it's the reason that I'm going through issue by issue Alpha Flight this year. Next year, we're going to do the same with Justice League International. But we're still about halfway through our examination of Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight number 24. They go into the realm of the beasts and they bring back Walter Lankowski's soul. But not without some price. Very traditional story. So, what do you think Alpha Flight number 24? Please leave a comment if you would care to. I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can. Always like to see comments on these things. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend. Until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Try to have a little bit of fun. And I'll see you again. Maybe for Alpha Flight Monday, maybe for one of my review videos in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Until then, bye-bye.